Welcome back to Unmute Yourself. I'm your host, Jennifer Carter, and this podcast is about lifting the curtain on leadership, purpose, and the real stories behind women who dared to do things differently. We'll talk about how they found their path, the struggles along the way, and how they built something that truly matters. These are normal people doing extraordinary things, even if they don't think it about themselves. I'm just saying, FYI, because I want you to know you are extraordinary too. My guest today is Lauren Carter, the powerhouse founder of 9094, boutique marketing studio and content creation hub, helping startups and creative entrepreneurs show up boldly and unapologetically. Can I talk today? Yes, I can. Lauren's career has taken her through Chicago politics, film and production, and high impact brand campaigns. And through it all, she's built a reputation for telling the truth, breaking the mold, and keeping things real. She is especially passionate about helping women and queer owned businesses ditch the corporate scripts they were handed. I know y'all know what I'm talking about, and build something as authentic as they are. Lauren is the definition of someone who refuses to play small and teaches others to do the same. Lauren, I'm so excited to have you here today.
Hello.
Hello. I feel like this is going to be a high energy episode. So, listeners, you better buckle up. All right. So, Lauren, tell us, what do you do? Tell us your story.
Little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I've been raised to, roll up my sleeves and jump in. And I think something that I've carried with me in every aspect and every part of my career is my ability to see things holistically, right? So I think it's really important, especially in the world of marketing and advertising, where everything's glitzy and fun and sounds sexy and high reward, to have someone who can kind of cut through a lot of that and a lot of the posturing and promises to look at it from a 360-degree perspective and kind of advise and work with people on identifying what's right for them and what juice is going to be worth that squeeze. So everything from branding to storytelling, to print, we kind of do a little bit of everything.
All right, Lauren. So, you do a little bit of everything in the marketing world, but I know like you didn't obviously always have your own business.
Right.
Right.
No.
So how did you get to this point in your magic
You know,
sparkly
I
unicorn
had
way?
my first layoff. And it was devastating to me because I was working so hard. And I mean, they didn't even like me. I was a personality hire, I feel like, at a certain point. But it was not a place where my energy and my passions were really valued. And it was, really just kind of the definition of a corporate hellhole. I don't know how to explain
The
it.
corporate hellscape.
Yeah, and it was just full of, I was almost bullied into getting a master's in business, a business degree, because it was just a lot of people who were, it was in Chicago. And Chicago is also kind of a different beast, that like powerhouse, downtown business degree mindset, you know what I mean? And so I definitely felt like that was not my line of growth.
Mhm.
And while I think I'm actually interested in looking into some sort of, further education down the road, but it needs to be for me, right? And it needs to be
Right.
for what I actually want to do. And I felt like, that kind of thing was not my passion at the time. Things like, the pivot tables and those types of skills are not necessarily what I'm passionate about, right? I'm passionate about being creative and sharing a story and sharing a mission and really finding a group of people and a community of people that love a brand for what it is. My first layoff was hugely traumatizing to me because I took it very personally and I felt like I had worked very hard and that I was, you know, um just another number, and that's kind of, not really who I am and what I love doing. And I think that the jobscape has changed a lot in the last couple decades. I have family who've been with their employers had who I have family who had been with their employers for decades and, created families and created an impact and were able to really look directly at, the work they were doing and be proud of it. And I just had that concept in my mind that that could be, what our generation was going to expect, and it really wasn't, right? And so I think that from my background, from again, I started my career in Chicago politics and moved on to some different sides behind the scenes in production. And by the time I got laid off, I had felt like, I'd seen a little bit of everything and I could kind of apply those big picture strategies and those big, everything I know about the world and how it works and people and how they work and share that with smaller to medium sized businesses to help them grow their brand in like a sustainable way, because it's super expensive and super confusing when you launch your own, whether it's your own brand or a product, to know what's legit and what's not.
Yeah, I can say, like, until I would say the past 5 years, and I have to say, I do not understand marketing, but at least now I know I don't understand marketing, when before I was like, "What do you mean? It's just telling the story. It's just this. It's just getting your name out," but it's so much more than that. And what I appreciate about you and your expertise is it seems to me, from an outsider looking in, you have stayed true to yourself through all of it.
For sure. I'm kind of an HR's worst nightmare. I'm a truth teller and a justice fighter. And so, I don't really do well in places with a lot of rules that may not be fair and around, in places that may not be completely ethically there. So I think that, and even with my own business, I tried to not be myself. I've worked with people who are not a good match for me in my business. I've worked with products that were not a good match for me in my business because I was thinking in the old way. I was thinking in the way of more, 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 grow, 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 have more people, have more clients, but to what expense? Right. So at the end of the day, I was able to kind of take a step back and deliberately downsize because I wanted to be able to look at my roster and look at who I was working with and have it be something I was really proud of. And have it be something that was really a good example of me and the work that I do. And I don't know how many people can say this, but I feel like most of my clients are like my friends. I had one of my clients was at our wedding
Yeah,
7
that's
years. How
awesome.
long ago do you? 5 years
How
ago.
long ago did you get married?
I
I
mean,
don't.
no, it's just our 5th anniversary. 6 ago.
Oh,
What year is it? 6th anniversary.
oh my
Rachel, do
gosh,
not watch this
time
podcast.
flies.
It was 6 years ago, but, and I'm still working with him. We're launching new products as we speak. In fact, he was actually, one of my, superiors at my last corporate job, and he didn't belong there either, but he was just following, we have a big age difference, obviously. He's more in our parents' age, but, he also didn't belong there, and now he's doing his own thing, and we're doing it together, and it's me and him, right? And so it's really fun to be able to look at the people I work with, and instead of having the visceral anxiety inside of me, look forward to it. Our calls are a lot about catching up, a lot about doing even a lot of coaching. Just, this is where I'm at. They're small, medium size. They need bigger advice than just some of the programs we work on, right? It's bigger and it's more strategic than that. And as we both know, having a small team, having a one person team, it's really hard to get feedback and talk through some of those decisions.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right. What were the signs that you noticed within yourself that you were trying to hide who you were or you were shrinking?
Wanting to vomit every morning.
Oh my gosh.
How about
Yeah,
that? How
yeah.
about being viscerally sick? Um, to my stomach when I mean, it was and in the world of constant layoffs and constant turnover and knowing, being in the position to know ahead of time when that was coming. I mean, Eh, it was very difficult. It was not who I am, and it's something that, I always say it's funny that I've never had less anxiety in my life than being responsible for every penny I make.
Ow.
Have a salary, time off, PTO, healthcare. Very blessed that my wife has amazing healthcare for
Mhm.
us, but nothing is more anxiety inducing than working in that.
What was the moment that you realized you were done with shrinking or softening who you were to make other people feel comfortable?
I don't know if I still am because I
Tell us,
think
tell us.
yeah, I live in Minnesota. So, first and foremost, um, I live in Minnesota. The people here are a little bit different. Um I lived in Chicago for 12 years. You've never met my mother, but I learned I've never shrunk myself. However, it's been not necessarily the easiest way to live, right? So within that, you want to fit in. Everyone wants to fit in. It's natural to fit in.
Right. We don't
You
want to be cast aside.
Yeah, of course. And so, to this day, it's hard for me to be 100%, 110% confident, right? In being completely myself. Because it also comes with a little bit of kickback, and it comes with the other side of things, right? And it comes with people asking why. My therapist, actually, I told her, I was like, I'm gonna bring this on this podcast
Oh, I
tomorrow.
can't wait.
You know what she said? She was like, the only people without imposter syndrome are imposters.
Correct, because they're full of lies.
But I was like, "How have I never thought of it?" She's like, "You know how they say that?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "That's
I've never heard that either, but it's true.
brilliant." And I was like, "So are those, like, all, like, narcissists and sociopaths?" Which I because and
Yeah.
so that made me feel a little bit better because I was like, "Okay, I can't really be an imposter because like, I'm actually trying." You know
Correct.
what I mean? I'm not
Yes.
really swindling, the people around me, but
Right.
it's so hard to not compare. It's still so hard. I mean, I have times where I'll, like, let my intrusive thoughts win, and I'll look up a job on LinkedIn just to see what's out there.
Right. Because like,
Just to
what
be
am I
like,
doing? I
"Am
can't
I
do
good at
this.
this? Am I" and I think what's really difficult as an oldest daughter, and here's not a whole 'nother is the desire to feel appreciated slash recognized. And I think that it's hard when you're working in a small team, when you're the top of the team, when
Right.
to get that itch scratched, if that makes sense.
Yes.
There's no one saying, great job on this, in the same way as when you report to someone and have that same kind of like expectation, right? Because especially his oldest daughters were overperformers. And so the bar is constantly moved. And so no matter what, I don't know how to explain it if I'm not explaining
It makes perfect sense.
it
It's
right.
not
So
it
our
sounds like not
expectations
being
are so high.
satisfied. Yeah. Yeah. What would it look like to be completely satisfied with the work that you're producing?
I think the catch 22 is I kind of am,
Yeah.
right? But it's not to go back to my therapist, but she was like, what will happen if you ever do catch up? Because you never will. Your list will never be done. You will always have something on the list. You will always have something to do next. So having that anxiety, it's almost like catching the carrot on the stick. And I
Yeah.
think that's something we learned in corporate.
Tell us more.
Well, I just think that, it was kind of like, please, like, yes, can I have another? You know what I mean? It was
Yes.
like you were constantly striving. It was like being in an abusive relationship,
My God.
right? Where it's like you
Yes.
get little bits of compliments or just enough to get you to continue to perform, but then never actually get something because you didn't hit your metrics, so no one gets a bonus. Or,
Right. Right.
yet you know what other people are getting.
So how have you moved past, I'm gonna call it your corporate trauma, which I know a lot of us have that corporate trauma, into being this baddie business owner as much as yourself as you can, or more of yourself than when you had been? How did you make that switch?
I think it is. and has been a work in progress, right? I think I was really pushed to make this choice because I kept holding on until the day I was laid off, and I kind of stumbled. I stumbled into doing this. I got laid off in uh, end of winter, and thought to myself, I'll work a little bit freelance, I'll use my severance, I'll walk dogs with Rover and enjoy the quote unquote last summer,
Yes.
because I could do that. I was in Chicago, it was our last summer in Chicago, and which we didn't know at the time. But by the time I did all the training for Rover, I did all the testing, and by the time I had to like buy my own t-shirt, I had enough clients somehow where I was actually working full time again.
Wow.
So it was just one of those things where I very, luckily stumbled into a startup that needed my help, and the startup knew another startup who needed help, and so on and so forth. My mentor and one of my clients, he was launching a product called Ho 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 H2O Easy Christmas Tree Watering System,
Yes.
as well as the other products that we're still working on. You can still get Ho 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 H2O, by the way,
I love that.
Amazon. Um, it's a little Christmas present. It's that waters your tree.
I'm very excited about
Yeah,
that.
very cool.
That's cute.
Um, and yeah, I just kind of and honestly, I think the biggest testament to what you said about being myself and me being myself again, whether I want to or not,
Yeah.
is I haven't really sold my business much at all in the last 8 years. Um, I've grown it, I've scaled it back, I've continued it all by word of mouth. And that's 100% a testament to, people enjoy working with me and they refer their friends. I take referrals very seriously myself. And I know when it comes to business, a lot of people do, because business can ruin friendships. Um,
Right,
many,
right,
many
right.
friendships. But I think that's what I really reflect on when I'm having a hard time. That's what I reflect on when I feel like maybe, is this what I should be doing? And when I think that it's only out of comparison to other people, never about my happiness, never about my, desire to get out or have too much work or anything like that. Um, and it's nice to reflect on that and to look at, again, like, my roster is largely people who I've been with for more than 5 years. Um, which it's nice. It feels like family. It feels like when I have something going on, they understand, and vice versa. It's a very different vibe.
And I can imagine you being you, your authenticity probably shows up in how you approach marketing and content creation.
Yeah, unfortunately, right? Like, I think that a lot of people, when you create something yourself, you're so close to it. And I think what's really difficult is a lot of people want to champion their friends and family and acquaintances, and I don't feel like you find a lot of people who are saying, that's great. Have you considered this? Or, really, and maybe people don't necessarily have the know-how or whatever, but I think that it's important to, and I have to remind myself of this, I think it's human nature to be humble when you create something, because it's not just about you, right? Like, you're creating it for a reason, or for someone else, or for, it's for a greater good for the most part, right? Especially if
Right.
it's a product or a personal business, or, and so I think it's really important to speak to the people you want to be speaking to, not so much for yourself. And it's important to have that be able to take that step back and say, oh, X, Y, or Z, right? Have you considered this? Or have you considered, this being an important aspect to other people? So I think, and it's only natural when you create your own to be very close to it, right? Sometimes when I come
Yeah.
up with something, my brain is just stuck on it. And I
It's
have to
having that.
physically step away and reflect on it and come back, because when I'm so into something, I'm not going to let it go. And it could be not all ideas are good ideas.
But they're ideas.
Right, but you also have
It's
to
an
know
idea.
when to let some go when you're like, "No, this wasn't complete," or "This is
Right,
why." You can't necessarily X, Y, or Z, right? Or
right.
want to think about X, Y, or Z. Does that
It's
answer your
it's
question?
interesting to me to think through, like, helping companies, products, people, how to find their real voice, especially when they've spent years editing themselves.
I mean, and don't even get me started with the fact that everything I mean, people are over relying on AI. People are, I do think that it's a really I would not be able to continue my business if I didn't learn how to adapt and utilize the parts of AI that are going to be unavoidable. But I think that when it comes to authenticity, it's really important to remember, and I've been saying this before AI, right? I've said this a long time ago just about products in general, because you can posture yourself, you can have a website, you can have your Amazon page, you can have whatever, and no one knows the reality because they're not touching, feeling, experiencing things anymore, right?
Right.
So, in the world of perfection and AI, the differentiator is going to be authenticity. The differentiator is going to be being real. The differentiator is going to be a typo or a mistake, right? I mean, this is the people will ideally continue to expand their knowledge about AI and learn what to and what not to trust.
Yes, and I love that you said, your real voice, touching it, feeling it, be involved with it, a typo, being real. So, for our listeners who are like, "Oh, I can't speak up because," or "I can't say this because," for those that are tired of playing small, right, but might be terrified to step out or say what they really think or do or make a mistake, what is your advice on the very first step they can take?
Yeah. So you have to, and as much as it's easy to say that, right? Like I'm a big bark kind of girl. As easy it is as it is to say that, you have to just decide that you're done and that you can't live with that pit in your stomach when you are doing something that takes up a majority of your life.
Wow.
And I guarantee that the other side of it is way less scary than the side you're on right now, because the amount of freedom that you will feel is honestly, I don't want to sound dramatic when I say this, but like people get sick from these environments.
1000%.
And my wife, I say what you will. Sorry, I need to take a break. My nose is itching so
It's
bad.
okay.
And I was like trying to be cool. And I was like, no, I just need to go.
This is authenticity.
Too much blow before the interview. Oh, fuck. I don't not think that my spouse did not get sick from some of the surroundings and some of the intense work situations they were in for years before they got their cancer diagnosis. And
Yeah.
their employer before them recently passed away from cancer.
Oh my gosh, it's
They're well,
terrible.
they're no, the boss before at their same place and their boss before that also died from cancer.
Stress.
Not, right? I mean,
Right.
say what you will, but that shit doesn't help,
Right.
right? It maybe doesn't have a direct connection to some of it, but it does not help. And at this rate, no one's retiring. So are you I mean, how old am I? Almost 40? I mean, I've got 30 more years and I cannot wake up gagging and
Yeah.
mourning out of anxiety for what awaits me.
So tell us at this stage in your life, this season, what does unmuting yourself look like?
Well, not to
Yes,
get
no.
political, but I think we also have the opportunity to work with people who hold our same values. And I think with things that are going on right now, I'm in Minneapolis. I have a lot of friends in Chicago, um, that I don't need to worry about how loud I am and will
Mm,
be, because I control my destiny from here on out. And, that's something I've reflected on a little bit in the last several days of, call my employer. It's me. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Don't work with me. Great. I don't worry about that, because I also know that the people I'm working with all share my values. The companies I'm working with all share my values.
So it sounds like by fully embracing who you are, you've let go of clients and situations in your life that don't align with your values. And so now you have more freedom to be wholly authentic in all spaces in your life.
And I always have been,
Yeah.
but I think it's a kind of a different time right now, right?
Right.
And I think it's only natural for people to think about their footprint and to consider just the technology and doxing and, just general aggressiveness. I think that, it's very normal for people to feel like they should be careful.
Yeah.
And I feel like I am privileged to not have to feel that same threat because I will ultimately be advocating for myself, right? I'm not going to have
Right.
to worry about a future employer or a future, the things
Right.
that
Right.
that and again, I'm not going out and getting arrested or yet.
Yeah.
Listen, dink aunts, no kids. It's like the
You're gonna be okay.
it's
Yeah.
the sweet spot for the resistance. Um, I remember when Trump won the first election. I was working corporate. And wait, what year was that? Like 10 years?
2016.
Yikes. So I was
Right?
at my corporate
Yeah.
job the first year that Trump won. And it was open office space. And the office was generally, you know, whatever, but the marketing team, we had one of the only women of color on it, me, it was all women, very liberal. It was the marketing team. And Dan, my boss, who I still work with to this
Got
day,
it. Mhm. Mhm.
and he came in and he came to our little corner and he said, "How do you all feel?" Because he knew out of anyone, the women, the people of color, I mean, our team, I mean, it was a very hard day. And it was really interesting because the rest of the office was not so, was very straight white male, business school, etc., much more conservative than
Went through and they just probably went about like business as usual.
100%.
Yeah.
But like you could tell just in our little corner that it was just such a dark day, and it was almost like a hush hush of like, how are you guys feeling? Like I'm acknowledging
Right?
this, but we're at work. So carry on, and just to kind of loop that around, when the same thing happened this time around, every single one of my clients and I spoke about it, were horrified, and we're there to support each other and kind of will continue to discuss the things that need to be discussed.
Yeah.
Again, I know that might be a little too much for for this situation, but I think, just that being an example of the other side of that.
Yeah, it sounds like you've been able to create a space and an environment and a life for you that you don't have to stuff your feelings to the pit of your stomach.
Exactly. Especially when there's big things happening.
Yeah. Right, right.
There's big divisive things happening, and I think it would be very difficult for me to thrive in a place where that couldn't be acknowledged.
Right, and I love that you know yourself,
Yeah, I think
and you've got the balls to do it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, to what extent, right? I mean, I think that's one thing at what is there it's the bystander situation, right? I think it's really hard. I feel like the world is like one big group project.
It is one big group project. Yes,
And the
but we're all
same
working on different
people
projects, Lauren.
but then the same people are forced to step to the top and lead the project and, kind of do that work. And so I think and maybe I'm coming to this realization just on this during this conversation, right? Is that something we just need to continue to do? And is it something that maybe felt uncomfortable because we were told not to be authentic and be ourselves?
And you have decided to play a different role in the big group project, which then has a ripple effect on other members of the group project of life. It's not as cut and dry, linear, neat, and tidy as it used to be by any means, right? It's
Yeah.
starting to all shift and shake up. And that's why there's so much complete upheaval right now and divisiveness, right? People are stepping into their own and saying what they think, whatever side that they're on, and it's trying to figure out how to work together on the group project with people who may not wanna work together, do not
Well,
wanna
the
work
group project,
together
but
on the
that's
group project
exactly
at
what it
all.
is, right? Like, that's exactly what that group project is. It's not a family project, it's not a friends project,
Right.
it's people who you're in a class with, and you just have to all participate, you know?
And I like how you've chosen because when I think of you, I think of the choice that you made on how to participate because it is you, hands down 100%. A lot of people don't choose themselves. A lot of people choose, um, what seems to be easier or what's right in front of them because that's what they've been taught, and it's hard to see anything else or bet on themselves when they've been taught to stay within the system. And you were like, "I'm not gonna fit in this system. I don't wanna fit in this system. I'm never gonna fit in this system. I'm not gonna do it. I'd rather take a chance on myself and live the way I wanna live with the people that I wanna work with."
Well, and it comes back to being a truth teller, right? Like,
Yeah,
unfortunately, like, as much as like I say, I love to talk shit, which I do love to talk shit, but it's not shit. It's just the truth. It's like, did you see this? Did it's not
right,
shit
right,
talking when you're just like, oh, so and so is X or so and so is Y when it's been proven and shown in real life actions. You know what I
right,
mean? And
right.
I think a lot of people are scared to tell the truth when it might cause debate, when it might cause divisiveness. And I think they want divisiveness right now because at the end of the day, like, can't we come together on empathy?
Yeah.
Can't we come together on like the best thing for our neighbors? And can't we come together for the best thing for like the people who are working? I think that's what's really hard for me too, is like, back to all of this, like everybody is kind of in it for themselves. People in marketing are in it for themselves. People who are in business are in it for themselves. And so it's important to remember when someone's selling you a service or selling you a product or something that that of course they think it's the best, it's theirs. That's what they're selling to you.
And the best for what?
But
Like
that's
the
exactly it. They don't
right.
necessarily care about your end game. Right? They care about what right now is, right? So, "Oh,
Right.
I make a website, you need a website, I'm gonna make you a website." If you don't have branding and X, Y, and Z done, then what's the point of paying for a website,
Right, because then you have to redo the whole thing. Been there.
right? I mean, but and that's
Yeah.
very I've been holding it in so long. I think seriously, my eyes were twitching. If you go back to that last one, what the
I
heck?
can't wait.
I, like, don't
It's dry. It's probably cold in Minnesota.
it's like 20 degrees, and that's why
Oh,
ice is
no.
everywhere, dude, because no one's out, like, watching people. I literally if I didn't catch it and, like, videotape the whole thing, no one would have seen it. They literally snatched someone getting out of their car and disappeared in the fucking day. Fucking crazy.
It's scary.
Anyway, um
Oh, okay. So, um, let's close with a
yes, I
few
hope you
quick
got some,
fire
like, good
questions,
tips
okay?
from this. I'm sorry.
No. So just answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Well, I can't wait. Okay. What's a bold idea you've had recently that scares you just enough to try it?
Starting a craft studio.
What?
Yes. So I went to a workshop. Okay, so I used to work with this amazing cake decorator and instructor called Bon Vivant Cakes in Chicago. And she is like such a vibe. Her art is so amazing. She does and cookie decorating, and she is a vibe. She is amazing. She creates like an amazing experience with everything you do. And I, in Minneapolis, went to a recent workshop and, I was just like, I could do this so much better. I love hosting. I love, cooking. I love, but the vibe of that Emily brings to Bon Vivant is so different and makes people really just want to be her and be her friend. And, I was just thinking something like that would be so fun
Do
in the
it.
Twin Cities. And obviously, very different. It would much more be in that it was a rug tufting workshop I went to. So
Did you
something
say
like
rug
that, or
tufting? Who
yes,
knew?
and
I
there's
had no
so
idea.
girl, it was like an afternoon, it was so fun. So yeah, it was this rug tufting workshop that I was a part of, and I was like, "Huh, this would be so great with, a different vibe and snacks
Do it.
and a killer playlist. And there's so many different people doing one offs, of little pinch pot clay. And so I just thought it'd be so fun to create the studio where the makers could come in and teach their classes. And then we would provide like the experience. So that's
That's
like something
awesome.
that I was kind of hot to trot on. Who knows if it's a now or a 5 years from now or a 10 years from now um situation.
I
But I
can't wait.
think that is one thing. There is a owning your own business itch that sometimes comes out of working with a lot of other small businesses because, you can see some of the needs and some of the things that have really worked and kind of sometimes get inspired to do it yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could unmute one topic people aren't talking about enough, what would it be?
Ooh. I would say the corporate trauma. I know it's starting to get talked about more, but I've definitely been mocked and minimized when I have experienced work environments as traumatic. And I don't think that makes you weak. I don't
Right.
understand, why it's really still so quietly discussed and still not
Yeah.
has not changed. But I think it's a really passive aggressive, deeply learned practice of of some older generations that yeah, is just kind of brushed off as the corporate way.
So much fear. So much fear is in that.
Yeah, and people are talking about it a little bit, but I think they're not considering the different microaggressions. They're
Right.
not I mean, I don't even know what it's like to be a person of color in those environments, which I mean, I'm horrified by some of the things I've experienced. I'm pretty heteropassing in my
Mhm.
in my daily life, so I just deal with the women's stuff. But I think it's, something that should really be more closely examined. I mean, is HR still a thing? I imagine HR is still a
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think it's just as as can be just as dirty as everyone else. It's only as good as who you put in it, I
Right.
suppose.
Right. Okay. What's one small daily habit that's had a big impact on your mindset? I can't. Okay. Yes.
Well, there's
Ooh.
one eating lunch, eating a proper meal
Not just Sour Patch Kids.
and taking time in your day. I remember when I first started my business, I was like, "Oh my gosh," because in Chicago, it would take me an hour to get downtown,
Right.
hour to get back from downtown. That's 2 hours plus getting ready. I love not wearing pants now, but,
Right.
I had to get ready every day, and I was like, "I'm gonna get so much time back in my life. I'm going to, work out. I'm going to go to yoga classes. I'm going to have time." And you know what I fucking do is just
What?
work for 10 hours straight.
Right. I know.
And I think that, something that people are not also considering, and I'm trying very hard to give myself grace with, is billable hours and the amount of work that you can see. I track my time for clients.
Right.
So sometimes it's really hard for me to not see 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever that is, when in reality, I think a lot of working in office, you chatted to people,
Oh my
you went to the
gosh.
restroom, you went and grabbed a coffee, you did XYZ, you had meetings in person where you shot the shit for the first 10 minutes. Like, it was just much more. There was a lot less of that productivity time. And so sometimes I think about like why I'm burning out and
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's not a surprise because, Rachel will leave at 9 in the morning and come back at 6 and I haven't moved, right? And
Right.
it's
You're in your
dark
little
and, like,
spot.
beside my computer and, so I think having lunch, going on a walk, taking, those 20 minutes between things to set yourself up and, do a dish to reset. Because I think that stifled my creativity too when I'm just in it all the
Yeah.
time.
You can't see it.
Um, yeah, I
You
really
don't have
wish I
any
could
space in your
build.
brain.
Yeah, and I wish I could bill for, like, being in the shower or gardening. Like, I have so many ideas
Yeah.
when I'm moving, when I'm, otherwise occupied, right? So, I think it's important to remember or put in perspective, productivity and what that means to you.
Okay, last question for you. Rapid fire. What's one word that captures who you are becoming right now?
One word,
One word.
resilient. Yeah.
Lauren, this has been such a powerful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom with us. And before we wrap, I do want to know if listeners walk away remembering just one thing from this conversation, what do you hope it is?
Not to be scared.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't be scared.
I'm scared too,
We're all scared.
right? But
Nobody knows what they're doing.
fuck them.
Right. Fuck them.
Fuck them.
That's what they should remember. Just fuck them.
Like,
Okay.
that Mel Robbins thing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
will
yeah.
be the Mel Robbins, but with fuck 'em. That's gonna be what we
Oh
do.
my gosh. My friends
Fuck
and I
'em.
say this back and forth to each other all the time. Let them.
Yeah,
I'll
fuck
be
'em.
like, fuck them. Okay.
Fuck 'em. 2020, yeah,
And
fuck 'em, 2026. What?
on a more personal note, what has it meant for you to share your story here on Unmute Yourself today?
I just love you, and I'm so proud of you for taking the leap. I have been such a big fan of pushing people and talking up this life. I say welcome to the good side. You never have to go. You'll catch me at Trader Joe's. Like, they get
Okay,
2
good.
snacks. They get snack time. They have insurance. I will go work at, I mean, they're union busters, but I will will
Yeah,
catch me
but
at
you'll do it. Yeah,
Trader Joe's before I go back corporate
yeah.
because, this is the way to be, and just wait to look back year over year and see what you've done, and eventually I can't believe I've been doing this as long as I've been doing it.
8 years.
Yeah, and sometimes just remember to look back and say, this is what I did, even if they're smaller things, because people like us, right, do a lot.
Right.
We minimize it sometimes.
Right.
So it's important to
Yes.
just be like, wow, I made that jump, and wow, I redid this, and then I did this, and then I did that.
Well, okay, finally, how can listeners connect with you?
Don't. I'll find you. I'm just kidding.
I will
Uh,
find you.
90-94.com. We can connect on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's great. But yeah, we'll connect with
Well, I
you.
love this. I can't wait to continue to follow your journey and like whatever you come up with next. It's going to be amazing. So, thank you so much for sharing your story. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. And if today's conversation inspired you, please share this episode, subscribe, like, follow, and stay tuned for more stories of leaders creating work that truly fits and matters. Until next time, unmute yourself and step into the story only you can tell.